Hey homies, it's Zach, Skater. So I just made that video about my anarchist system. I said I was gonna make another video about politics tomorrow, but I'm just gonna decide to do it right now, tonight. This will be my fourth video today. A lot of videos today, but I'm just gonna make that other political video tonight because I had the idea for it and I just wanted to do it. And I want to just be able to focus on that martial arts video tomorrow, and that's it. So I could just make that a really good video because that's gonna require like a lot of different clips, a lot of separate clips, and a lot of editing and music and all that sort of stuff. So I just want to get this one out of the way, and I think it's a really interesting topic. It's something I think about a lot, So I obviously have my radical views of my anarchist society that I talked about in that last video, but today I want to talk about how things currently are in the current American political system, and the elections that we have, and how a lot of leftists that are out there, they don't vote at all, and they'll tell you that if you claim you're a leftist and you vote in these current American elections in the current system, that you're some sort of fake leftist, that you're not really a leftist, that it's bullshit, that any voting in this current system is not worth it, and it's just legitimizing this violent, evil system. But I think I do vote in these current American elections that we have. I do vote in all of them. I vote every single year. I voted even when it's not a presidential election, even when it's not just a presidential election or a congressional election. I vote in local elections. I vote in state level elections. I vote in all of it. But what I want to talk about how it's sort of separate from my socialist anarchist beliefs when I consider who I'm going to vote for, and when I follow these elections and what my decisions are in these elections. It's sort of separate from my anarchist socialist beliefs. Now, with the anarchist socialist beliefs, it's sort of like outside the system, dual power, creating a new system from the ground up. But with the voting in these elections, you got to take a different approach because it's a system we already have, and it's not a system you totally agree with, but it's the current situation, So in that situation, it requires a different mindset, but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't lessen my ability to do socialist things or believe in socialism. It doesn't lessen my ability to do that, and it doesn't take any time away from that socialist stuff. But it's a separate thing, and you got to think differently about it, because most of the candidates in this current situation are not socialist, but you still might vote for them because given the current situation where socialism is not in power, but you still have to choose someone to vote for, you're thinking within like a liberal situation. So what decisions would you make in sort of a liberal situation, in a liberal system, if those were your only options, and it requires you to know about a different set of politics than socialism, and I studied political science in college, like I've said a few times on this channel, and what I'm talking about now is mostly what political science is about, the current system, how the current system works, how all these current systems work, and so I think I have a good perspective on that sort of stuff because I studied it, and it's like, obviously it's not going to bring about socialism, and it's not going to bring about anarchism. It's not going to bring about any of those things, but it can still help people. And like I said in that video, in those couple videos on like Black Klansmen and the one I made after that, when I was talking about doing things outside the system versus inside the system, you can attack the problem from all angles. Sometimes there are things you can do within liberalism that'll make your socialism easier, or that'll advance your socialism a bit. It won't bring about socialism, but it'll open up an opportunity for you to go out and do some more socialism, So, I mean, like, I don't know, on all sorts of different issues, like, unions, the current unions we have are not socialist unions, they're not anarchist unions, but they're still good for the workers, and you can still vote for policies that help unions, and it's not going to bring about socialism, even if these unions we currently have had all the power, which I wouldn't want that to happen, because they're a lot different than anarchist and socialist unions. But I'm just giving an example, if you want to help out with unions, you can vote for that. And you can also separately believe in anarchist unions on the side and go do anarchist organizing in a separate space, but you can take that single issue that socialism is involved in, and you can see how liberalism examines it, and you can make those decisions in the liberal system that you think would really help people, or things like the environment, things that are better for the environment, even though we're not going to have eco-socialism right away, there's still people out there, liberals, who are fighting for the environment, and you can vote for what they do. It's better than doing nothing. It's better than not doing anything at all, not voting at all is just doing nothing at all in this opportunity that you're given to have some sort of voice, and you can make some change within the system, it doesn't all have to come from outside the system. If you're not voting at all and not caring at all about this current system, and you're only doing things outside the system, then you're not doing everything you can be doing, and my mom always told me, I sort of disagree with this, but it stuck with me. And she said, when I was very young, she said, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain, and I think there's a lot of reasons not to vote. And if you don't vote, I'm fine with it. It could be you're protesting against the system, and that's your right to not vote. You have a right to vote, and you also have a right not to vote, as far as I'm concerned. But honestly, if you're going to bitch about Trump and you didn't vote for someone other than Trump, then you helped let Trump happen. That's just flat out true, I mean, like, I think a lot of people, with all the disasters with ICE and Venezuela and stuff, are finally starting to see that, like, you could have voted for someone else. You could have put someone else in office that wouldn't have done this, but you refused to because of your supposed high principles, which are really bullshit. All these principles are bullshit for any ideology, they're just competing interests, that's all it is. All these different ideologies and philosophies, they're just competing interests, and everyone, I would guess, has interests separate from simply socialism. You have interests in your life, like what type of job you have, what your income level is, what religion you are, all those sorts of things that you have decision-making power about, but you refuse to take it because you're only waiting for something that's perfect. And what if that perfect thing never comes about in your lifetime, or never comes about at all? You would have wasted all that time. So take the opportunities you're given, but still work on what you want the perfect system to be. You can do both of those things. There's nothing that prevents you from doing both of those things. There's nothing at all that prevents you from doing both of those things, And I don't see how it has to be one or the other, or how if you do one, you can't participate in the other, or you're not a true part of the other, or that's bullshit. Do whatever you want to do, I mean, as long as you're not harming anyone else. I mean, do whatever you want to do. So I think if you are a socialist and you want to vote Democrat, don't let anyone tell you shouldn't vote Democrat. I think it's a good decision to make. Honestly, it's not a socialist decision. It's a separate type of decision. It has nothing to do with socialism most of the time. But if it's the next best, if you think that's the next best thing, then do it. I mean, like, this socialist society is not going to come about overnight. And it takes a long time to build up to it. And while you're building up to that, there's nothing wrong with taking other opportunities in the system you're given. I mean, life has many angles. There are lots of different ways you can look at things, and lots of different things you can do. And you shouldn't limit yourself. You shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. And also, when it comes to politics, when it comes to just talking about politics with people in your life, not everyone wants to hear not everyone wants to hear a lecture on, like, socialism or Marxism or anything like that. Not everyone wants to be lectured. Not everyone wants to talk to someone who's pretending to sound like some sort of professor of sociology or something like that. I mean, the common people who socialists are really trying to help, the common people are often the ones that care about these current elections, because they have pressing issues right now. A lot of times these socialists are kind of really just spoiled, snobbish people that don't really care what happens. They don't need anything to happen. But a lot of these common people have problems that the government can address right now, and they like this vote. They desperately need to vote for this thing. I mean, and those are the people socialists claim to be trying to help. But when they go and tell those people, like, oh, you're an evil person for voting for this government, I mean, they have problems that they need to be solved, and that, like, Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare and SNAP and all that stuff, it's that stuff is stuff we vote on, and that shit is important, So I mean, don't be mad at them for voting about their benefits when it's oftentimes life or death, and but when you are voting in these elections, take a different mindset and put yourself in the place of someone who's only really ever considered the American system and the options inside of it, and then you'll make better decisions. I think put yourself within the system and and make those decisions. But whatever you do, don't vote for someone like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris and claim that it's super socialist or super communist or that it's the right thing for a leftist to do. It's not. Those are separate things. These two sides of things may inform the other kind of in weird ways, but they're two separate things, and you got to think of them as two separate things. But also, don't let anyone tell you shouldn't vote. It's your right to vote. We do live in a democracy. We live in a democratic republic, a liberal democracy, and the right to vote is a beautiful thing. You should take advantage of it. And when people talk shit about that, it's just like I like to know what's going on so I can talk to people about it. Like the election, the news is mostly filled with news about the current system, the elections, the candidates, the politicians, and that's what most people are talking about. And like not everyone, it's a lot of times you make situations awkward if people are talking about, oh, who are you gonna vote for, what party you are, and you're just like, oh, I'm an anarchist, this is the entire system I want, and this is everything wrong with capitalism, people are usually just talking about specific issues or specific politicians or the parties. That's what most people are into, and it's a way to communicate with the masses, I think, to consider these things, so, yeah, that's really what I'm trying to say about that. I like to vote. I like to keep track of elections. I think keeping track of elections is fun, and I like democracy. I just want there to be more democracy, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna not consider the democracy that currently exists just because I want there to be more of it in a different form. But I think we've come a long way, and we have a much better system than we have had in the past, and we have a much better system than many other countries have, and a lot of people don't realize that, yeah, take advantage of your rights and do whatever you need to do to survive. If there's an issue coming up that is going to help you survive, then vote for that issue, and do what you need to do, sometimes, like I said, sometimes these issues are life or death for a lot of people, and just because they exist in the current system doesn't mean you shouldn't consider that something is going to help you survive, I don't know. We don't live in that socialist system yet. You gotta stop acting like we do, or I don't know. So, that's all I really have to say about that. I think it's good to vote, whoever you vote for. I hate Trump. I do. I've never voted for him. I think he's a jerk. I think he's an asshole. I think he's a terrible person. I think he wants to be a dictator. I don't think he is a dictator, but I think he wants to be a dictator, and he kind of shows it, but he can't be a dictator because we have too many other people in this democratic system that disagree with him. But we can never lose that grip on things. We can never let it get worse than it is now. We gotta put this era behind us. When Trump leaves, we gotta put this era behind us and go back to normalcy and go back to sanity. To all the people who are hating on Trump and his actions with Venezuela and ICE, but who didn't vote for anyone else, or Kamala Harris, or anyone else who didn't vote, who didn't choose another option, who did nothing, and they're the biggest complainers right now. It's nonsense. They're idiots. It's just, they have no right to be telling you what to do if you voted Democrat. That's my opinion. Because you were the one that was really trying to prevent Trump. So, yeah. So don't let a lot of these leftists take the moral high horse if you were the one that voted Democrat and they sat on their ass on election day, So that's my opinion on that. So anyway, that's all I really have to say about that. Shorter video than the last one, but I think I got my point across. And watch out for that martial arts video tomorrow. It's going to be epic. This is going to be a dope exercise, and I'm got the GoPros all charged up, got the stand for it, and we're going to be getting some exercise in tomorrow, doing the exercises, doing the punches, doing the kicks, doing the blocks. Gonna be capturing it with this, it's gonna be epic, so stay tuned for that. I wanted to get this video out of the way so I could just focus on that tomorrow, and another political video, back to more political videos, and I still do believe in all that radical shit, that radical anarchist shit that the last video was about, But like I said, we don't live in that system yet, and that's a different concern. That's a separate type of action that you can take. That's a separate type of thing. That's a whole separate type of, that's a whole different can of worms, you know? So, I mean, everyone should be thinking of both of those spheres of things. Everyone should consider both of those things, you know? Like I said, attack the problem from all angles, you know? So, anyway, that's all I have to say. Peace.